Hello, I am here today to fall on the proverbial sword and have some really important, transparent conversations. I've been gone a bit after needing a break from the barrage of hate and the blatant lies being spread about me, also being sick, and also waiting for a chemist's response, which I finally got. I have learned so much this week, a lot of science, but also on just how many people are praying for my downfall. I had to compose myself and remember who the heck I am and what it is I have done here. This isn't my first hate train rodeo, except this time around was a wake-up call. To see people, even ones that I trusted, jump at the opportunity to tear me down, even behind my back. The amount of ulterior motives, hypocrisy, and gossip that goes on over nails. That said, I can admit that I jumped the gun on my last video. I saw 3 videos from a very credible creator who works with Doug Schoon. They were posted 8 to 12 months ago and are still up. But ultimately, I can't blame another creator because I am solely responsible for the content that I choose to put out there. I moved way too fast without giving Young Nails the courtesy of reaching out first. So Young Nails, I am sorry for not extending you the same courtesy I have extended some of the worst brands in this industry. However, as it was clear in my first video, this was not a brand call out. I specifically expressed how much I enjoyed Young Nails educational content and the brand as a whole, as I used to use them for my acrylics. However, from the little information that was available about the use of mech and nail products, it did seem to align with that creator's videos. However, just a few hours after posting that video, I reached out to the original creator of those 3 videos and was blocked. I found that response a little concerning and not faring very well for the validity of the information, so I decided to reach out to Doug Schoon directly. And I privated my videos until I could get a response because my goal is never to put out misinformation. Although all chatter about this is pretty much stopped by now because the internet moves on pretty quickly, I didn't want to just sweep this under the rug because this is a conversation that needs to happen and it only damages the credibility of the nail safety movement as a whole. I am not perfect. I have never established myself as the authority on any of this. In fact, I've tried to do the opposite. I just share my experience as someone with an acrylate allergy, as well as my research from reading an obsessive amount on the subject. I did find it particularly interesting that a lot of the people trying to school me put out heaps of misinformation themselves, except they never take their videos down. Have to get that view money, I guess. Now, this isn't a call out of anyone but myself. However, the nail industry is severely lacking in accountability. And loads of people have been talking about the Young Nails protein bond in this way for months now. My comment section immediately flooded with how bad this primer was before I even mentioned its name. Leaving up videos with misinformation makes it so that others find it when they look it up, as I did, and assume it to be credible because of who it's coming from. That is called authority bias, and I can't believe I fell for it as someone who studied it extensively. But that is a mistake I will never make again. Also mostly because I'm blocked now, but anyway. I always tell y'all to verify everything, even from me. Yet I didn't practice what I preached. And while I've always respected what that creator has done for the industry, respectfully, what the heck? The mission should always be more important than ego. All right, now to the facts of how I arrived at my conclusion. First, I want to point out again that in my video, I never alluded to the fact that this was going to kill you or severely harm you. Yet people acted like I said it was going to give you cancer. I do regret adding the shock value of the PVC primer comparison because I can see how it makes it seem more dire than it is. But my point was just that this specific bonder's formula is not something I believe to be a necessary risk, when there are millions of other bonders on the market that do not contain mech or HEMA. I also figured that other brands would have made similar formulations by now, seeing as this is probably the most popular primer in the industry. So why is this the only one containing it? In fact, here's a snippet of the Liberation Nails website where mech is in a list of harmful substances this brand doesn't use and why. Now, a Canadian realtor who really loves this primer came at me in the comments and a barrage of very kind DMs going off about the LD50. For those of you unaware, the LD50 is how much of a substance is needed to 50% of the test population in a single dose. This is used to measure acute toxicity But lethal dose doesn't account for other side effects or prolonged exposure. The LD50 for mech is also half that of acetone, which makes acetone the much safer solvent if we are going just off of the LD50. Lastly, mech is a penetration enhancer. I heard that giggle. HEMA is already pretty good at that on its own, but when hitched to a carrier substance like mech, it acts as a sort of chemical drill and opens the door for whatever other substances are in it. I was never worried about a primer killing us. It was always about risk mitigation and unnecessary repeated exposure. So you have a formula in a thin, easy to spread and spill primer that is going on as the first layer on the nail that is 10 to 20% monomer and 80 to 90% mech. So based on everything I've just presented and the information readily available, can you at least reasonably see how I arrived at the conclusion to trust the information in those original videos? Now, Doug Schoon did answer, which I am incredibly grateful for because he did not have to take time out of his very busy day to help me with this. He stated that the mech exposure in this concentration was unlikely to cause real harm if used properly and in a well-ventilated area. And although it is a carrier solvent, HEMA is quite soluble and even water can have that effect. However, unlike mech, water doesn't strip your oils and protective lipids first. Interestingly, I also learned that the second monomer used in this formula, bisphenol A glycerolate methacrylate, or BisGMA, has a molecular weight of 512 Daltons, which is too large for skin penetration, whereas HEMA is 130 Daltons and HPMA is 144, so not much different. The higher the molecular weight, the less likely it is to penetrate your skin. To put it in perspective, BisHEMA, which I can use with no problem in Light Elegance, Attain, and Hona, is 482 Daltons. So I'm now curious why more formulas aren't using BisGMA. Now, realistically, how many people are using this primer with exact precision, the proper PPE, and the proper ventilation? I digress, but that is always why my focus is on risk mitigation. So if you use this primer, just make sure you crack some windows, cut on the air purifier, and wear an N95. And use very, very small amounts in the middle of the nail to ensure that it's not running into the sidewalls. I also want to be clear that I stand by the fact that I would not use or recommend this primer. I am not obligated to like or recommend everything, but I never once told you what to do. If you're upset that people aren't using something based on my recommendation, are you just as angry when a creator with millions of followers tells their audience they hate a particular product or brand, usually for no good reason other than personal problems with the brand or the owners? This, as per usual, brought out the everything is a chemical people, and water is wet. This mentality is significantly more harmful to the industry than my content. If we follow the logic that anything can be safe if kept off the skin, why bother banning MMA or methylene chloride? I mean, technically, tons of people use those magic burst removers without issue. Blanket statements and a false sense of security hurt real people's lives significantly more than any perceived fear-mongering. Many attacked me due to some responsibility to my platform. Let's get one thing straight. I take that responsibility very seriously, hence why I'm sitting here making this video. Because at the end of the day, I am here to learn, help you all navigate or avoid my medical condition, and pursue the truth above all. But I am ultimately not responsible for anyone's choices. That is a ridiculous thing to put on any content creator. I don't see you guys blaming influencers that push garbage products for your lifelong allergy, because at the end of the day, that is a choice we all individually made to use those products. People are out here putting out actually harmful misinformation, and y'all just yas queen because it aligns with what you want to hear. Yet I would never go harass them or call them a menace to the nail industry because I know what it feels like to be on the other side of that screen. But also, I have too much going on in my life to take my little free time to tear other people down. People are now strawmanning this like, she must be the type to use eye drops and not know about all the preservatives in them. Wow, y'all are really running out of ways to discredit me. Now you're going to the she's just a crunchy that hates all chemicals? Yep, and the one I hate the most is dihydrogen monoxide. All most of you can say from behind a keyboard is that I'm not a chemist. Yet very few people in this industry know what I actually do for a living, or what my qualifications are. The ones that need to know, such as the top educators and brands in the industry, do, and that is why they support my efforts and collaborate with me. All I will say is that I love what I do, and I deal with health regulations regularly. I am trained to look past the smoke and mirrors and analyze the raw data. Regardless, none of that matters because I can always trace back my sources and my thought process. I am not going to keep over explaining myself or trying to earn my spot on social media that no one else has had to earn. Chemists, scientists, and all other professionals are constantly disagreeing and or correcting each other publicly because again, no one knows everything. There are very few professionals trying to fix this allergy problem, and now I understand why. No one wants to deal with the resistance and vitriol that comes out of the nail community. And the way they crucify you over every little thing, expecting perfection from people trying to help, but rewarding mediocrity and misinformation from the people who are just trying to sell them stuff. It makes anyone want to just stop talking about this and just do pretty nails, product reviews, and tutorials. Unfortunately for you, this menace to the nail industry is not going anywhere. I will only get better, keep learning and growing, while being able to do something not many creators can. Take accountability and welcome correction because nothing matters more than the mission to prevent allergies. I genuinely encourage you all, as I've always done, to do the same level of research. And if you believe that you can do it better than me, please do. Either make the effort to help the industry, or if you choose to stay in comfortable ignorance, then at the very least, get the heck out of the way. I also want to thank the people who actually consume my content and know what I stand for, that have spent their time the past few days to correct the lies about me and what I actually believe in. I love y'all so much, and your efforts did not go unnoticed. Now, I'm going to announce the giveaway winner next week, and then I am taking a much needed vacation and break from social media. I know the algorithm will penalize me, but I don't care. I need a break from this viper pit. So thank you to all of you who do your best to make it better, and I will see you when I see you.